Hi friends, in today's tutorial we are going to be making the Picot Headband. This pattern features a knotted front and then it has a lot of fun texture with these Picot single crochet stitches and then ribbing in between those. This pattern comes in 8 sizes. There are 3 baby sizes, 2 child sizes, and 3 adult sizes. So if we take a look here, the baby and the child sizes are about 3 inches tall, whereas the adult size is about 4 inches tall. If you want to adjust the size of the pattern at all, you're going to want to make sure you work an odd number of stitches in your first row, and then you can work as many rows as you want to get the right height. So you would just have to repeat the last 4 rows as many times as you want to get the height that you desire. So I'm going to put a size chart up on the screen right now. So take a look at what size you're going to want to make and take note of how many stitches you're going to have to work for your foundation half double crochet. That is going to be the first row of the pattern. And then from there on, your stitch count is always going to be the same as your foundation half double crochet. And then take a look at how many rows you're going to have to work to get the right size. For today's tutorial, you will need a medium 4-weight yarn, a 5.5 millimeter or eye hook, a yarn needle, and scissors. We're going to start off by making our foundation half double crochet, so make sure you take a look at the chart at the beginning to know how many foundation half double crochets you need to work for your size. Since I am doing the teen/adult small size, I'm going to be making 67 foundation half double crochets. So if you are familiar with this stitch already, you can go ahead and do as many foundation half double crochets as your size says. If you are not familiar with this stitch, I'm going to show you how to do it. It is a little bit tricky to get used to at the beginning, so if you need to pause the video after I explain it just to practice, feel free to do so. Essentially what a foundation half double crochet is we're going to be working our foundation chain and our first row of half double crochets together in one. So it just makes the pattern go by a little bit faster, because instead of making your chain first and then working row 1 inside of the chain, you're just working those 2 rows together, so it just makes it go a little bit faster. So to start off, we are going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 2. And we're going to start by yarning over and working into the second chain from the hook, which is also the very first chain that we worked. So working into the second chain from the hook, insert your hook, and we're going to start off by making our foundation chain. So we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through once, just like that. So down here is our chain, and we're going to be working our next stitch into there. So if you want, you can grab a stitch marker and mark that spot right there. And then now we're going to work our half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. So there we go. We just worked our foundation chain and our half double crochet together in one. So now we're going to work that again, and we're going to start in that chain that we worked there. So we're going to yarn over and work into that chain we worked at the bottom. So make sure you're going through the 2 loops of that chain. Then we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, and there is our chain again. So this is now the one we're going to work our next stitch into. So again, if you want to mark that with a stitch marker, feel free. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook, and there is our half double crochet. So we have already worked 2 foundation half double crochets. Here's the first one, and here is the second one. So we're just going to repeat this all the way across. So we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that last chain that we worked, so right down there. Make sure you're going through both of those loops. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through that first loop, so there is our next chain, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So I'm sure you get the idea by now. So if you want to stop and pause the video and just keep practicing until you get it right. It is a little bit tricky at first to just remember where you're working those stitches, so feel free to use a stitch marker, and then you just want to try and keep your tension even. And so if you already get the idea of this, just continue on. I'm going to continue on with mine. I'm going to work a total of 67 foundation half double crochets. You work as many as you need to get your right size, and just keep practicing. If you're having a little bit of troubles with it, just keep practicing. It does get easier the more that you do it. And then once you do learn to do this, you are able to use it with so many different patterns, and it just helps your pattern work up faster as you're working 2 rows essentially in one. So you're just taking one of those rows out. So I'm going to continue on. So I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that chain that we last created. Make sure you're working into 2 loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through that first loop. So that is our chain that we're going to work our next stitch into. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on our hook. So far I have 4 foundation half double crochets worked, so I'm just going to continue on until I get to my last one. So I'm going to catch up with you guys when I reach the end of this row. So I just reached the end of row 1. I have a total of 67 stitches worked, and you should have as many as the chart stated for your size at the beginning. So now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So chain 1 and turn my work, and then working back into row 1, we are going to single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch. So to do so, we're going to work a regular single crochet, but instead of working through both the loops at the top of the stitch, we're going to work in the back loop only. So if you look at your stitches from above like this, you see they create a little V shape. So the loop closest to you is the front loop, and then the loop furthest away is the back loop. So we are going to single crochet working into the back loop only in each stitch across. So starting in that first one, in the back loop only, I'm going to work a single crochet, and then same into the next stitch, and we're just going to repeat that all the way across, working a single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch across. And that just creates a little bit of ribbing at the front, as you can see here, so it just adds some texture to the front of our headband. So I'm just going to continue along, working 1 single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch across for row 2. So I'm just going to carry on, and I'm going to catch up with you guys when I reach the end of row 2. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 2, and this is what my headband is looking like so far. So because we worked in the back loop only, it created this little bit of ribbing across the front of our headband. So now we are going to chain 1 and turn, and our stitch count is going to remain the same for the rest of the pattern. So since I worked 67 foundation half double crochets, my stitch count will always be 67 for the rest of the pattern. So as many foundation half double crochets that you worked at the beginning for row 1, that is always going to be your stitch count. So I chained 1, and now I'm going to turn my work. And for row 3, we are going to start our picot single crochet stitches. So those are going to be those little bumpy stitches. So for our first stitch, we are just going to work a single crochet into the first stitch. So just a regular single crochet, and we're just going to be working in both loops. So just normal single crochet in the first stitch. And then in our second stitch, we are going to work a picot single crochet. So to do so, we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook again, and yarn over, pull through the first loop on your hook one more time. So we have a chain 3 right here. We're going to yarn over and pull through both of the loops on our hook. We're going to take that chain 3 and push it out. So we're going to push it to the back, and then for our next stitch, we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And that's just going to help push out that picot single crochet. So since we're on the wrong side of our work right now, it doesn't look like much, but when you flip it over, that picot single crochet stitch bumps out like that. So you just want to make sure that you push that chain 3 out, and that's going to help the picot single crochet stitch bump out like that. So we just work a single crochet in that last stitch. So now we're going to work another picot single crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook again, and yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook one more time. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. We're going to push that chain 3 back, and then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to repeat that all the way across. We're going to picot single crochet into the next stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. Picot single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. We're going to repeat that all the way across for row 3. So I'm going to show you one more time how to do the picot single crochet. So we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, and yarn over, pull through the first loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook, push that chain 3 back, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So here's what the side we're working on right now looks like so far, and then if we flip it over, you can see those picot single crochet stitches bumping out. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way across for row 3, and I'm going to catch up with you guys when I reach the end of the row. So I just reached the end of row 3, and this is what my headband is looking like so far. So this is the wrong side of my work. If I flip it over, this is what it looks like. So you can see those picot single crochet stitches bumping out just like that. If you notice that yours are a little bit flat, it's easy for them to get squished in, so you might just need to pick at them with your fingers just to pop them out again. So moving on to row 4, I am going to chain 1 and then turn my work. So now our right side is facing us. And for row 4, all we're going to do is single crochet into each stitch across. So working single crochet as normal, we're just going to single crochet into each stitch across. So it might be a little tricky to see where we're supposed to work our stitches. So you work one right beside the picot single crochet, so to the right of it. And then the next one is kind of behind the picot single crochet. So if we flip this up, your stitch is going to be right behind it. So single crochet right there. And then the next one is right beside the picot single crochet. And then the next one is behind it. So we're just going to single crochet into each stitch across for row 4. I'm going to carry on, and I'll catch up with you guys at the end of this row. Okay, when we reach the end of row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And then for row 5, we're just going to work a half double crochet into each stitch across. So just working a half double crochet as normal. We're just going to work one half double crochet into each stitch across for row 5. I'm just coming up to the end of row 5, and this is what our headband is looking like so far. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And now we are on row 6, and for row 6 we are going to single crochet in the back loop only in each stitch across again. So looking at our stitches from above, we're just going to be working in the back loop only, just working a single crochet. So single crochet, back loop only in each stitch across for row 6. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 6. This is what my headband is looking like so far. And now for the next rows on until the end of the pattern, we are just going to be repeating the last 4 rows that we worked. So we're just going to be repeating rows 3 to 6. So if you are doing a baby or child size, we're going to repeat rows 3 to 6 one more time. And if you're doing one of the adult sizes, then you're going to repeat rows 3 to 6 2 more times. So row 3 starts with the single crochet and then the picot single crochet. So from here on, we're just going to repeat into the end of the rows. So for baby and child, you're going to be working a total of 10 rows. And then for the adult sizes, we're going to be working a total of 14 rows. So since I'm doing one of the adult sizes, I'm going to repeat rows 3 to 6 2 more times. If you're doing a baby or child size, you're going to repeat them 1 more time. So I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to catch up with you guys when I reach the end of my last row, and then I'm going to show you how to finish up the headband and how you tie it up to make it look like that knotted front. So just continue on and work your final rows, and then I'll catch up with you guys on the very last row. So I just finished my last row, and this is what my headband is looking like. So the adult sizes will have 3 rows of the picot single crochet stitches, whereas the baby and child sizes will only have 2 of them, so look more like this. Now feel free to repeat those last 4 rows as many times as you'd like to get the width of the band longer if you want it. But I'm going to stop here. So I just reached the end of row 14. If you did the baby or child size, you should be on row 10. What I'm going to do is chain 1 and tie off my yarn, and I'm going to leave about a 12-inch tail. So grab your scissors and cut off a tail around 12 inches or so. And I'm going to pull that through. And there we go. Now if you don't want the knotted front for your headband, what you can do is just fold this over and bring the 2 short ends together and sew these together, and you would get a headband that would just look like that. You can totally do that if you want, but if you want the twisted front, this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to have it how we had it at the beginning. So our right side facing up like this, and then we're going to fold the short ends together to themselves like that. So just pinch the ends together like that, and we're going to repeat that on the other side as well. So pinch those ends together just like that. And then we're going to bring these 2 together, and we're going to interlock them like this. So we have our 2 ends pinched, and we're going to interlock them like this. And that's how we're going to sew it. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle and thread my yarn through that. Okay, so here is our end here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew this front part here to the one below it, and then sew that one to the one below it, and sew that one to the one below it like that. So we're going to work in an S shape, and then we're going to whip stitch each, I'm going to call it a row. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to whip stitch 1 and 2 together, and then 2 and 3 together, and then 3 and 4 together. We're going to work in an S pattern. So I'm here at the top corner. I'm going to work into the row below it, and I'm going to whip stitch. So whip stitch is I'm going to go in through the front, out through the back, working through these first 2 rows right there. I'm going to pull my yarn through, and then I'm going to continue that all the way across. So back, front to back, front to back, and I'm just trying to grab the ends of the stitches from those rows. Oops. So front to back. You don't have to be too precise on where you're working it. Just make sure you're grabbing the edges of those stitches. Working all the way across. Okay, so that's the end there. So now folding in that other one. Now I'm going to work from left to right, continue whip stitching. So I'm going to grab the stitches here, and then just the edge of the stitches from that row we worked above, and just continue to whip stitch. Okay, and when you reach the end of that one, we're going to fold in that last row, and then working now from right to left. I'm going to work back this way and just grabbing the stitches from this row and the edge of the last rows we worked into. Okay, and when you reach the end, we're just going to secure our yarn with a few knots. And since we're on the wrong side of our work, so all of our picot single crochet stitches are poking out on the opposite side, I'm just going to weave in all of my ends on this side. And don't forget about that little end from the beginning. If you haven't weaved that in yet, you can do so now. Okay, and then we're just gonna flip our headband so the right side is out. So just flip it like that. And then you may need to maneuver your knot around a little bit to get it sitting nice. And then also, if you notice any of your picot single crochet stitches have got pushed in, you can just pick them out like so to get them to be really bumping out. And there we go. There is our Picot headband. Thank you so much for following along. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to tag me in your photos so I can see your finished creations. You can find this pattern and many more free patterns on my blog whoshomemade.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.